Let's get going.
Let's get going. Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the August 2016 Production Services Association of Northwest Florida meeting. And we are doing a live stream recording for this that we'll be able to put on YouTube later on. We'll do a little edit for you there, Gail. And also we found out from the last two times that we did it, somewhere around 7 o'clock, everybody kept complaining that it kept getting knocked out, the stream was stuttering and all that. And I just happened to ask today at the chamber if they were doing backups at that time, and he checked out, and sure enough, they were backing up all their data at the same time we've been streaming. So hopefully we won't have that type of issue this time around. And we're hardwired instead of going over the Wi-Fi. So you guys out in the YouTube land, hopefully this will be good. We don't edit this after the fact, so we're just trying to do things on the fly. Every time we do this, we try to get a little bit better. Today's challenge is going to be with our host here, or our presentation here. We got William is going to be doing a little presentation about After Effects and some of the, not necessarily the glam aspect of it, but the productive aspect that the real world uses and that you guys could use on your production as well. So our topic for today is going to be how to use After Effects in your everyday production. So,
there's that photo.
And there's that photo, as he likes to say. Our presenter here is Mr. William Legarreta, who's we met initially here at the Production Service Association at a meeting a couple of years ago, and when he was working for Bookit.com, and he was doing their graphics work for them, and then another former member,
Eric Dupre.
huh? Shane.
Was it Shane or Eric Dupre?
Shane.
Shane Sauer. Yeah.
Yes. Shane was this instructor over at Niceville High School in the media lab over there, and he had designed a really interesting media production lab, student instruction, video instruction, television, whatever, lab there. And but he ended up getting another job. I had recommended William to him, and he's been doing that for the last 2 years now. So he's been able to take that program and convert it from what Shane had set up to something that William can actually work with over here as well. So one of the things that's always fascinated me with Williams was his ability with After Effects. And we did bring a little demo reel. That we want to go ahead and show that and show some of the work that he has done on that. Give me a second to pull this up and mute our audio so that we don't get some feedback. And we'll go ahead and play that sucker right now. You guys.
Color bars and tone, man.
The audio was still going. That's the bizarre part.
I think it's looping. The audio is like several loops going at the same time.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave the lights down low, so the only one who's going to be actually lit for this video here is actually going to be William here.
Thank you.
So, oh, and the video's still going on. Scary.
He's got the low lighting and then he plays the music.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up his laptop screen on the display. Let me see if I can find which input that is. Number 7. Bring up the number 7. Yes, this is all live TV for you guys, folks. Okay, so the folks out in the real world are actually going to be able to see the full screen as William talks about it.
Okay.
And why don't you go ahead and we'll just focus on you for the moment here. What can you tell us about using After Effects in our everyday production?
Okay, I've been using After Effects for about 12 years now. And there's a lot of misconceptions that a lot of people have when they start being introduced into After Effects. Before people usually get to After Effects, they've probably been to videocopilot.net, or they've seen or they've heard about Red Giant's Chapcode Particular, or they've seen some really cool special effects on television or in a movie. And this kind of sidesteps what I think After Effects is really for, which I use it more for presentations. I often have found that a lot of these special effects that people utilize, that draws people in, are not really practical when you're in the actual field. I can tell you right now that in the 12 years I've worked in the field, I've never had a request for a lightsaber effect or lightning, or none of that stuff has ever been requested. It's fun, yeah, but does it pay the bills? Not really. In the long run, I really like to focus people on is what After Effects comes with, okay? It's extremely powerful already without having to spend money on expensive plugins like Red Giant, like Chapcode Particular, Shine. Those plugins are very advanced. They're not plug and play. A lot of people are misguided. They think in After Effects you just download a plugin, an effect, drag and drop, and it does everything for you. It doesn't do that, and it doesn't happen that way. So just a little bit of misconceptions just to clear the air. I'm going to be showing you some of the more powerful tools in After Effects for me, which are layers and masking. I'm also going to dispel some of the, I hear people, biggest complaint about After Effects I hear is controlling your Bezier curves with the masking tool in After Effects. Because it's very different from Illustrator and Photoshop and Premiere, okay? A lot of people think you can't control the Bezier curve, but you can, okay? There's several tools in here that allow you to control it. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough on how to control that. So, I did want to talk about some useful plugins. I'm not dogging plugins. I think plugins and effects are really cool. Some useful ones that I have used in the field quite often, and these are free plugins, by the way, are SureTarget. That one you can download off Video Copilot. It is really super neat. You can create spectacular slideshows with SureTarget, okay? If you do weddings, showcasing homes, anything that requires slideshow or some type of transition into video or photo, SureTarget is awesome. So I would definitely strongly advise, if you have After Effects, to download SureTarget and test it out. It makes slideshows so easy to do. I am going to cover a new effect that, it's not new, but I found out about it just the other day. I just signed on to a really heavy animation project, and I came across this plugin called Duik. That's D-U-I-K. And I'll touch base on that a little later. But right now I'm going to kind of like dive into After Effects and just kind of like give you a brief example of what you can do just with the built-in effects and layers. All right, so in class at school, I like to start off assignments with Mexican restaurant, okay? Really colorful themes, right? Bright blues, greens, and whites. So I'm going to use that to set up an example here for you. So I'm basically just going to set up a quick little background image And then we're going to overlay some text on it. It could be a title. You can add it on to the end of a spot or a segment, even a DVD menu, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to dive right in. So layers. So let's start off with let's do kind of like we'll start off with the background for the sky. And I'll go ahead and start setting up the ground here. Now, a lot of people think that you can set this all up. Everything I'm doing here, a lot of people do this in Illustrator and Photoshop, and they'll bring it into into After Effects. But the reality is, what I like to refer After Effects as is After Effects is Premiere and Photoshop's love child. Okay? That's both of those things combined together. So if you know how to use Premiere and you know how to use Photoshop, then you'll have a leg up on After Effects when you open it up. It's just things are placed differently on the screen, and you got to kind of just figure out where everything is located. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little mountainscape in the background. Now I've activated my pen tool, okay? And this is where a lot of people get really upset with After Effects, and for a long time I was too. I felt I could not master how to control the pen tool. And let's just get this down here. So I've done a mask effect here, and now I can come over here, and you see how when you want to start a new anchor point, it automatically the Bezier curve is open, so it automatically creates this loop. But we don't want that. We want it to be a sharp edge. So if you hold down the button here, you have these options here, and that's the G key for the shortcut. And you can convert. You have the convert text tool, and what you can do is, let me make this mask a little more viewable. Let me change the color on it. All right, here we go. So if I click on one of these anchor points with the Convert Vertex tool, it'll automatically remove the open Bezier curve to create a sharp edge, okay? And you can also go further than that. So if you go back here, and let's get a selection tool, you can click on any of these corners and you can continue to manipulate these Bezier curves. It's not set in stone. You can always go back and play around with the line works if you think it's not perfect. Okay, so you can always go back and adjust these lines. Nothing is set in stone. So we'll leave that like that for now. And I'm going to go ahead for this mountainscape. I'm going to pre-compose it, because I'm going to go ahead and remask this layer. And we're going to go ahead and feather this out just a little bit. Now notice I'm just making basic shapes. I'm not getting into detail. I'm not trying to make it look too pretty. I'm just kind of flying through it. I'm going to add a yellow. This looks fine here. We'll add a yellow to the sky here. And we can blur this out some. And we'll put this right about here. And we'll add one more to complete the sky. Maybe a purple. Yeah, here we go. Deep magenta. All right, so we'll add some purple for the background. Create a contrast right here. And we'll do the same. We'll add some feather so the edges aren't so sharp. Oops. All right, so I've got my background here. It doesn't look like much, right? Just simple shapes, simple color palette, right? But now we're going to add just a slight bit objects on the foreground. So I'm going with the desert scene, so I'm just going to add some quick, I'm going to make some cactus real quick. All right, so I've created a mask on here, and I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. There we go. All right, we'll close this up here. We don't want it to be too rounded. All right, so we have our first cactus leaf. Now, we don't have to go and remake these every time. It's okay to duplicate layers. That's why the option is there. So I'm going to go ahead and just do some quick duplications on this so I can get my cactus going here. I'm going to scale these down, add a little bit of scale difference. Sorry, I don't have my trackball with me today. I'll go much faster than this. All right, so now I got that on that side, and I'm going to kind of even out the layout on the other side. And so on and so forth. So let's pretend I finished that up. And what I'm going to do next is, I don't want the background to be too busy, so it takes away from the text we're going to put up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a simple adjustment layer. Okay, I'm going to put it at the very top layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an effect, and I'm going to add blur. Where's my blur? Blur and Gaussian blur. Okay, and I'm going to probably boost that up to about 45 so that we kind of blur out the background so it doesn't take precedence over anything else. Now, here's where the really simple pre-built-in effects that really make your presentations stand out. So I'm going to add, let's do a bright red solid at the very top. Oops. And there's a fun little effect in here. It's called Jaws. Okay, it comes with it. It's called CC Jaws. And what you're going to do is you're going to drag and drop this on that layer. And on the completion settings, you're going to expand it so that it forces these triangles to come up and up to the very top edges. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll do this a couple more times. I'll grab a white solid. And I'll do the same thing. I'll drag in my CC Jaws. Wrong layer. And I'll do the same thing on maybe just a little smaller. And I'm going to go ahead, where it says center, I'm going to adjust the numbers so that I can offset them. And I'll show you why I do this in a little bit here. I'm going to add one more color to keep in line with this with the Mexican theme here. I'm going to add in some green. And I'm going to continue to do this, okay? And I'm going to kind of stagger them off. And I've already got I got a sample here already made up. So basically, you have a slide already completed, okay? And you can use an effect called, there's another effect that you'll put on the Jaws layers. It's called offset, and it's here under distort. And it's right down here in offset. And what it does is it automatically will loop everything within the stage here and continuously generate it. Okay? So such a simple overlay, just 3 solid layers, Jaws effect on each one, and use an offset, and you have a quick, simple, engaging background scene. Nothing to it, right? And I used like 4 layers to put it together. That's it. Okay? And because you made this using layers, you can go back. You don't have to open up Photoshop, retouch up the layers. And we all know if we add a new layer in Photoshop after the fact, we would have to re-import that PSD or Illustrator file in order for it to register the added new layer. With this, you don't have to worry about that. You've made everything inside After Effects. It's all editable. It's not going to pixelate because it's a vector inside After Effects. So you're good to go. Okay? Any questions?
So with the offset, is that based on keyframes that you've already
Correct. So
created?
as you can see, I left the keyframe boxes open. So I only used 2 keyframes. I set one at the very beginning and one at the very end, and I just adjusted the direction, whether positive or negative, on whether they're going to roll to the left or roll to the right.
That's cool. And then you can, I'm sure, adjust in sort sort of simple?
You can go really complicated. You can scale them. You can offset the scale. You can get really fancy with just these layers. That's all you got to do. I mean, it's just stacking. Like I said before, all these effects here, a lot of people, you don't see them a lot. A lot of people dog all these built-in effects. They're actually extremely powerful. Very, very helpful. I always tell people when you jump into After Effects, drop a couple of layers on your timeline and just start dragging and dropping effects in and just seeing what they do. Okay, that's a really good idea because there's so many of them, and a lot of them you're gonna find familiar. Gaussian Blur. What other program do you see that in the Adobe suite? Illustrator, Photoshop, right? Premiere, all of them have that same effect. Blend modes, okay? If you're gonna overlay a color, for example, I'm gonna drag in a red solid real quick just to show you, and then we'll move on. You drag a red solid here, and the same blend modes you find, exactly the same list you find in Photoshop and Illustrator are right here. And guess what? They do the same thing. Okay, so you can color correct, you can stain colors, you can create really cool effects just really quickly in After Effects. And one more misconception I wanted to touch base earlier, just real quick. Another misconception is After Effects, you can edit video in After Effects. And a lot of us start off doing that. We start importing our video projects into After Effects and we start trying to edit it out. That is really bad news. After Effects is not an editing program for video, okay? It's not gonna stream the video live. You actually have to sit there and pre-render it inside the program, so that takes up a lot of time. So you're actually doubling production time when you're editing all your video in After Effects. So you should get in the habit of doing all your video edits within Premiere first, and once you finalize your cut, then import that cut into After Effects and start overlaying all your motion graphics and timing them out. You will save yourself a lot of time and hassle, okay? All right. So, moving on. I wanted to introduce you guys to a plugin I found out the other day. It's called Duic. It's from, I can't remember if he's French. I think he's French. He produced this effect all on his own. He coded it. It is a free source plugin. And it's really helpful for people who like to animate characters in After Effects. I love to animate characters in After Effects. And this plugin is amazing. It literally will auto-rig a full character for you. Okay, so you build the character in here, just like you see here. This character is composed of several portions. We've got a headpiece, torso, elbow, hand. She's all separate pieces, okay? So you set this all up in After Effects, and then this plugin will generate it, will pull it by how you name it, and it'll automatically produce these nulls that you can rotate, and it'll actually move the rest of the body in conjunction with the body parts. So you get this is a really simple walking cycle I made. I did it really quickly, but just to show you, she's all different pieces. This thing automatically calculated it, and you basically have a fully rigged character. This saves you a lot of time. If you've ever animated a character not this way, you know what a pain it is. You'd have to sit there and animate this piece, and this piece, okay? All separately. So you're talking about a lot of keyframes there. But this bypasses that. So instead of animating 3 different elements, you're only animating 1 per limb. Okay?
And what you guys aren't seeing is that because we're getting his display over the network, it's not as smooth, but right now it's just smooth on his laptop as if she's just walking normally. It's not stuttering the way
so yeah,
it is
and
right
I also added some chest movement and some back movement, so it actually looks like she's retaining physics, like her body is moving with gravity. There's a video on the website I wanted to share with you guys just to give you an idea, because I just found this out and I've been going crazy over it, but I haven't learned really a tenth of what this plugin really does. It does so many amazing things, so if we can get that video clip up, that'd be great. I know it's a little dry, but I mean, this is pretty much what I work with all the time. This is what clients request for, and this is really what I get all the time. So really handy some tips. A little bit of pros and cons with this Duic that I discovered already. It is user friendly, but it's kind of a pain to install on your computer. There's a very particular method you have to go through to unpackage the contents, and then you have to put it in a particular spot. I had some trouble. I had to install it a few times before it worked.
There is some audio, but it's kind of low in the beginning, and then it adds more to it.
So you can see this is what it auto generates, and these are what those nodes that it calculates look like. They look like these little crosshairs with the rotation tool around it, and it actually inverts the kinetics as well. So you can actually tell it when the arm goes the other direction, crosses that threshold. It'll actually, you can keyframe it to adjust. I haven't really gotten into all this yet. I'll get to that eventually, but I just got really sidetracked with the character rig portion.
Did you say this is free?
This is free. It's so powerful. When I found it, I was blown away. And now it's showing you some of the main most popular motion graphics artists use it for.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's quite a bit there that we can work with. All right, so what is it that you wanted to try to set up next?
All right, so I'm setting it up right now. So
Okay.
I'm basically just going to give you as quick as I can, a run through of how this works, just to give you an idea. It does auto calculate, but there is a particular method to set it up. It is a little convoluted, but believe me, doing it the other way, it takes much longer. So I'm going to fly through this for you guys.
All right, so we'll put that up on the screen for everybody to see what you're working on.
So I'm just going to make a quick little funny character, just a couple basic shapes. And we'll do a quick mouth. And we'll do some arms, some simple limbs here. All right, we got one arm there, one arm there. Some legs. And some legs. Spectacular. All right, so we got this character here we worked on for days and days and days, and we're ready to put him together. So the first part we need to do is, for the body, I'm going to go ahead and quickly pre-compose this because we don't want that to get messy. All right, here we go. All right, you want to start naming your layers, so I'm going to call this left arm, right arm, left leg, and right leg. And now we're going to jump into the puppet tool. the puppet tool allows it to register key points. So, for example, on the left arm, I'm going to activate the puppet tool, and I'm going to add 3 points on here. Okay? These 3 points are now going to become register points for when it pulls it on the auto rig. So I'm going to call this left hand, left elbow, and left shoulder. And we're going to do the same thing with the right arm. 3 points on each one. And I'm going to rename these real quick. So right hand, right elbow, this is the boring part, and right shoulder. And it's important to know the naming conventions so it pulls it automatically, and when you have it in a list, you'll easily be able to distinguish which parts are which. I'm going to do the legs real quick. So 3 points on the leg. So we're going to call this left foot, left, we'll call this calf, left calf, and left thigh. And the last piece right here, 3 more points. Okay, right foot, right calf. Bless you. And right thigh. All right, so now we got all the limbs ready to go. And the last thing we're going to put puppet pins on is the body. And I'm only going to do 3. I mean, more complicated characters are going to require many more points on them. But I'm going to do a head, spine, and torso. Okay. All right, torso, spine, spelled it, and head. All right, now we got everything going. So do it is not going to actually be found in the effects panel. It's actually going to be found in the window menu. And it's going to be at the very bottom here. You're going to see DUGR, JSX, and DUIK. So you're going to select DUIK, and this window is going to pop up. And here's what it looks like, okay? The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure all your layers are selected, and you're going to create bones. And as you can see, it pulled all the puppet points, all the puppet tool points, and it converted them into nulls, okay? And it took the name from them. So what I'm going to do now, so things don't get too confusing, I'm going to highlight all the body parts, and I'm going to put them towards the bottom, and I'm going to hide them away using the Shy tool right up here. Okay, so now I don't have to look at them anymore or accidentally select them. So I have all these parts right here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to hit Auto Rig. And this is where the fun starts. So I'm going to do a full character rig. So now this is where you start assigning parts. So now it wants us to assign the left leg. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to look for my left thigh. There we go. We're going to look for the left calf. If I can, there we go. And the left foot. Okay, and you're going to click next. And now it's going to ask you for the right leg. Or not. Previous. Right leg. So now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to find the right thigh, right calf, right foot. Next. Now it's asking for the arm information. Now I would not, I'd advise if when you start using this, leave the shoulder blade calavate empty, because I haven't created any shoulder blades for this character, and if you try to add a shoulder blade on there, it's going to throw the entire thing off. So I'm just going to add the shoulder, left shoulder, elbow, and hand. Click on next, do the other arm, right shoulder, right elbow, and right hand. Right hand. All right. Next, now this last part right here is the spine. So it already read the head because I named it that way. And I'm going to go from the neck from spine to spine. And I'm going to take away these because this is not the torso. I'm going to change the hips and pelvics to the torso. So you're going to keep these as none. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. This option is if your character has a tail and it's going to be affected by the spine. I don't have anything, so I'm going to click OK. It's going to automatically start creating a new set of controllers. So it's actually reading each point right now and calculating it. And when it's done, I'm going to go and hide away all of these. And I'm going to only showcase the new controllers. So now you have all these controllers right here. And this is actually where the fun part starts. You can actually sit here and you can start manipulating the character with one controller. Okay, let's try the hips. So he's getting his little shake here. Okay, really powerful tool, and it does it all for you. Okay, and you saw how, I mean, if you do this often, you saw how fast that setup was. It might have been slow for you, but in character rigging world, that was really fast. Okay, that was super fast. So just if you're interested in it, check out the website. We can post it up later so everyone can check out the website. Really, really cool stuff. If you have any questions for me, other than that, that's it.
Does it work in 3D space or just 2D?
You know what? I haven't tried that yet. I'm sure if you pre-compose it and drop it in another comp, you'll be able to activate the 3D layer and still be able to manipulate it.
Cool. Can we get somebody to get the lights? And I'd like to go ahead and you can still go ahead. You can ask questions. That's fine. I just want to be able to see, let everybody else see out there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey. All right. So you said you had a question?
I forgot.
I forgot what the question was.
Just like in class.
Wait, did you be able to, like, because in the video it had a bunch of different effects for different, like, objects and stuff.
It does. It has some
Is it
really
in that
cool
same menu
stuff
right
on there.
there?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't explored the whole menu yet. Like I said, I was just focused on the character rig portion. But apparently it does a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm definitely going to be putting a lot of time into this plugin this year and figuring out what the capabilities are and how I can apply it to my work. But it's got some really cool stuff in it.
So have you done any testing with non-characters with this? Because I could see, like I'm working right now, I'm sort of brainstorming for some technology that I have to animate. And
Yes.
so
I have tested that a little bit actually. You saw at the beginning of that video on the website, they had that text animation. You would just have to prep up the text, pre-compose it, and add the puppet tool marks on it. Maybe single out each shape if you're gonna get really complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, it affects any shape you drop on there and you put that pen puppet tool, you can apply these effects to it. It'll
I
register it.
guess I'm just curious because, you know, obviously when you're going through these menus, it's all physicalities.
Yeah.
With arms and legs.
Oh,
What if it
well,
doesn't have
if you
arms
look
and
here,
legs?
up here, it actually gives you options. So we have ungulate, digitrade, and planetrade. Planetrade is mostly for, and it'll tell you here, it says bear, humans, primates, rabbits, etc. And you have dogs, cats, dinosaurs, walking birds, horses, cattle, giraffe, dogs, dogs, and deers. You have on this second portion here for automation, which is what you might be looking into. You have wiggle, spring, blink. You have all of these different options. I mean, it's a really extensive plugin, really powerful.
I'm gonna jump on it before it's not free. They should be charging a little bit.
Absolutely. On the website, they actually catalog how many downloads they've had on the program, and it's pretty spectacular. I mean, people have found this and they use it all the time. You saw the show reel, big names using this plugin, really big names. It does. All right, and that's it.
Is there any other questions? All right, yeah.
It was juicy. William.
All right. Well, that was, that was a lot to be able, it was simple in some ways, but without being able to see the details and do it yourself, you'll have to go back and rewatch this again, and hopefully.
I did go fast. I'm sorry, guys, but I wanted to save
Hopefully
on
the live
time.
stream is good enough and the detail isn't up there. If it isn't, then just hire this guy to do your work for you. As simple as that. Let's see, what else was there? Okay, well, at this point, again, thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody has any projects they think would be of interest for anyone to kind of know what's been going on, what's happening, or some news in the industry, now's a good time to share. Feel free to help out. Otherwise, we may just go ahead and wrap this up and start a little early networking since we don't have as large of a crowd as we normally have. But we may have a much larger online. It's hard for me to tell at this time.
Thank you for doing this because, while not everybody does After Effects, I think it's always helpful to understand all of the elements of production, their limitations, and obviously what they are capable of doing. It just helps everyone understand.
Yeah, and a lot of people are so scared of it. I mean, After Effects is its own production, in my opinion. You have your film, you shoot it, but then you have After Effects, and you kind of almost start over again and just reevaluate what you've shot and really plan for what you're going to add. So, and everybody has different focuses inside of After Effects. Everybody attaches to either special effects, motion graphics, animation. I mean, there's so many different areas in After Effects alone that you'll find your little niche and like really take it.
The black hole.
Yeah.
You never become an expert in After Effects.
You don't. You just, it goes on forever. Goes on forever.
Okay, well, with that being said, I think now is a good time to go ahead and wrap this meeting, do what we normally do. For those who are watching online and haven't been to one of our live meetings, the meeting part, the visual part that you're seeing on the YouTube right now, that's just part of it. The main component of this group is basically the networking that we do afterwards, where we get a chance to talk about who's got some equipment, who's doing what type of jobs, who needs some help in some area. So I highly recommend, if anybody is watching online, that you join us on the second Wednesday of every month, right here at the Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce conference room. They won't let us use the front door, so we have to come in through the back door. But at least they've given us access to their facility and the AV system and their internet, so we're able to do the live streaming. Also at this time, for those people who are already here, our film commissioner, Gail Morgan, collects data for the month for her monthly county film commission report. So if you guys could fill that out and provide that with her, that would be great. At this time, I'd like to go ahead again and thank our guest, William, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys.
That's it for all of us. Thanks a lot. Thanks.